This look was inspired by a beautiful drawing of a broken sculpture. I'm starting off by covering one eyebrow with glue stick. I want to cover this eyebrow completely because I'll be drawing the skull on this side. Once that's dry, I'll be covering it with translucent powder. This gets rid of the stickiness. Then I'm taking white grease paint on my finger to cover up the eyebrow and setting it again with translucent powder. I'm pressing it in with a powder puff. Then taking a white eye pencil to sketch in the skull shape. Try to keep a reference picture of a skull next to your mirror, so you can check where to put your lines. This takes practice, so it's okay if you make a mistake. Then with the same white grease paint on a spoolie, I'm gonna cover the other eyebrow. I want it to be white, but not completely covered. It's supposed to look like a sculpture. You can go against the hair growth for more coverage. I'm also setting this with translucent powder. The main reason I wanted to do this look was to test out my airbrush. This is the first time using it on my face, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I got a little close to my nose, and the air coming out of the airbrush kind of surprised me. Here I'm just adding a few more drops of white face paint. And this is how loud the airbrush actually sounds. In the close-up you can see how evenly the airbrush applied the white. Now I'm filling in the white areas of the skull with the airbrush. I'm slowing down for a second to show you how precise you can apply the color just by holding it closer to your face. Then I'm taking a brown eyebrow pencil to darken up the inside edges of the skull. This creates the illusion of depth. I want it to look like the sculpture was cracked open and you could see her skull underneath. Then I'm darkening up the edges even more with a black eye pencil. I already applied a creamy black eye pencil to my eye socket, and now I'm smudging it up with a flat shader brush. I'm also applying it under the cheekbone and on the nose. This makes it look like it's sunken in. You can clean up some of the edges with the airbrush. I'm using a brown eyeshadow to create even more dimension. Then, with a black eyeshadow, I'm setting the creamy base on my eyelids. And this is what happens when you don't tap off the excess powder before you apply it. I had fallout all over my face. Luckily, this is not grease paint, so I can just brush it off. With a black eye pencil, I'm going over my waterline, and I accidentally put my finger in the wet paint. So be careful where you put your fingers. Now I'm using the airbrush really close to my skin to create rounded shapes on the jawbone. I'm giving it some dimension with a brown eyeshadow. With a white face paint, I'm painting in the teeth, making sure I stay inside my lip shape, because I want really small teeth. I'm also painting in half circles above the teeth and smudging that upwards. And then filling in the gap with brown eyeshadow. I'm also flicking my brush up in between the teeth. With a gray face paint, I'm outlining the teeth. I'm also painting 2 white bumps in the eye socket. And then highlighting the outer edges and the white bumps to bring them out even more. Then I'm taking the eyebrow pencil again and using it to fill in my lips because I don't have a brown lip liner. I'm contouring my nose with a dark brown eyeshadow on a small blending brush. I'm using different shades of brown to contour the rest of my face. This gives more dimension to the sculpture. If you've applied too much, you can always brighten up the area by going over it with the airbrush. And finally, I'm putting on some mascara. You have several different options to complete this look. I just draped a white scarf around my face, but you could also use a white or black wig. Your fingers need to be really clean when applying contacts. It's kind of tricky to put in the contacts if you already applied your eye makeup. Ideally, you should put these in before you start applying makeup because your eyes usually water up, as you can see right here. Thank you so much for watching and have a happy Halloween.